Hi guys, this is Tabitha from Juggling Life with Purpose YouTube channel. Hello, welcome. Some of you are our local friends that have asked some questions lately for me. Some of you might be a complete stranger that found this video on YouTube. So I'm going to kind of speak to you all like I know you and you're sitting right here with me on a couch outside. Welcome. Thank you for watching this video. At any time, hit the like button down below, the thumbs up. And if you also enjoy this video, go check out some more that we have. Watch a couple and then subscribe if you would like to stick around. And if you hit the notification bell, that will alert you as soon as a new video is posted so you can get it right away, or just know that we posted one and watch it later when you have time. As you will see in today's video title, this is going to be all about homeschooling. We didn't start out homeschooling for any negative reasons with the public school system. We had a wonderful experience. Our personal story, and I'll take a moment to share that with you really quick, why we homeschool. We happened to be camping one spring break in 2012, and I remember taking my third son. He was just, gosh, I don't even think, yeah, he had just turned a year. Because it was during spring break and his birthday's in February. And so I happened to be down by the lake where we were camping, and they had like a beach area, and I was just, the moon was full and out. And if you stick around my channel long or follow us over on Instagram at Juggling Life with Purpose, you will see I am posting sunrise, sunsets, and full moon shots anytime I can, because I love the outdoors. I love nature. I love God's creation. We are a Christian family, so you will hear that quite a bit in our videos, but it's very gracious. I mean, it's not going to be down your throat with stuff. It's just our belief, and we want to share it anytime we can. But I was trying to get him to sleep, and so I was rocking him and kind of just praising God for the opportunity to be a mom. It was a dream of mine since I was very little. I don't even know what inspired me to like, that's the role I wanted to be. Like, there were several career paths that I also wanted to be. Being a mom was all I wanted to be. And so I just was in a moment of like thanks and gratefulness, and praising God for healthy children, for the opportunity to be at home with our children. I've been a stay-at-home mom since we had our first son, who is now 14. And so I just was grateful, like I was saying, just grateful. And I remember feeling the presence of the Lord so strongly. And one of the things that I had shared with the Lord because I like to talk out loud to him when I'm walking down the beach or on a hike or just like in this moment. And one of the things that I had shared was in God's word, he talks about children being a gift from him, and that we are to raise them up to love him, to be a soldier in his army, you know, to return them back to him, knowing who he is. And I remember just dedicating that moment. And we had dedicated our children in church, sure, when they were born or whatever, when the dedication service rolled around, right? But I remember, like, legitimately, authentically dedicating them back. Like, I will raise them up for you. I will teach them about you. I will train them in your word. And I'm giving them back to you because they are just mine on loan as a gift, to be this light in the world for him, to continue working for him and glorifying him, to do his work through them. And so with all that to say, after saying that to him, I heard the Lord say, and not in an audible voice, and if you're a believer, you'll understand where I'm coming from, and if you're not, then I hope I can convey this the best that I can. I just remember, like, you feel the presence and you feel him speak to your heart, and you know it's him because there's a power in that. It's not magical, it's not mythical, it is just confirmation that is no doubt him, and it's wonderful. And I remember him saying, bring them home. Bring them home so that you can pour into them full time, way more effectively, and turn them back to me. And I didn't know then what I know now, but I stepped out on faith and said, okay, like, because I love my God that much, and I want to please him in any way I can. And when he calls me to something, sometimes he gives me a light shined onto the path and the journey and what it might look like. But when he calls me to something, I don't always know. And so that's when we step out in faith, believing in something we cannot see. It just reminded me the other day, if you haven't seen, and I'll link it at the end or maybe up here in a card. I don't always get those to work for me. Don't know what I'm doing half the time. So, but anyway, we were harvesting our potatoes this season. And I told my husband this, and he's like, you should share that. That's what I think people maybe don't always understand, or they do and we take for granted. But I planted these potatoes. I saw a plant come up, but did I really know how many potatoes were in that ground? And you always hear the saying, faith like potatoes, right? This was my first year planting and harvesting potatoes. We've always put a garden out. We've just kind of done the main summer stuff, and that's it, the basics, some small little raised bed. But this year, we just wanted to go bigger, and this was prior to the pandemic that's happening right now in 2020. We had already had all this stuff in the works. If you, again, have seen any of our videos, or when you go watch them, we've gotten chickens and goats, and we have plans for more to come, and we're kind of turning into a little homestead that we didn't ever plan, but we're loving it and we're enjoying it. And yes, it's a lot of work, but there's so much satisfaction that comes with that. I'm going to try not to be long-winded and keep it homeschool focused, but it just reminded me about faith like potatoes, right? We just have to believe. We have to believe God's word is the truth, the absolute truth, and there's nothing else that is true but his word. And we have to trust and believe when we know that confirmation he gives us to call us to do something, we do it. And so we've been homeschooling, gosh, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, 8 years. 8 years. You'll see I am not a math or numbers person, and we are making this work. So if that's you, stay tuned, because I have great encouragement for you on that. We've been doing this for 8 years. Our oldest will be a freshman this year, so high school is our new journey now. And then we have an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old and a 2.5-year-old. So that's fun. But anyway, so we did that following school year. We started, and I knew nothing. I had heard of homeschooling. I had no opinions whatsoever about homeschooling. I personally never was going to homeschool. It was just never in my thought or on our projection of the future whatsoever. Mostly because I felt inadequate. Secondly, because I didn't know anyone personally, so it wasn't inspired or encouraged to do so. Again, the Lord called us to it. And anything the Lord calls you to, or maybe gets you in a situation that you were unaware of, like maybe you're homeschooling now because of the pandemic and you never expected it, he will provide and get you through it. Before I jump into the logistics of things, let me just say, homeschooling is not for the faint of heart. You're gonna have bad days. Your kids are gonna have bad days. You're gonna wanna quit. You're gonna wanna give up. We've all kind of threatened, whether we've said it verbally aloud or not. We're gonna send you on that yellow bus when it comes trucking by, right? It's hard. You're with your kid 24/7. On the flip side, that one really good day launches you for months ahead, because you're gonna see amazing character come from your kids. You're gonna know so much more about your child that you thought you knew them well. When you send your kid off to a school or somewhere else and another adult is pouring into them all day, and just for 45-minute periods, and then onto a new adult, that's not a bad thing. If this is intriguing your curiosity, I encourage you to go check out the book Dumbing Us Down by Gatto is the last name of the author, and I forget his first name. Great eye-opening information. Why public schools started, what they were meant for, the agenda behind them. Again, I had no negative reason to homeschool. We loved our public local school. We loved the teachers. We knew a lot of people in our community. Still no regrets on following what the Lord called for us to do. I know my children's hearts. I have my children's hearts, and their hearts seek Christ. I can say speak for myself, that if they were in public school to this day, we would be busier than we are now, and we're pretty busy. and there would be little to zero time to seek their heart, to get it while we have it, and to disciple them. I know there are parents that can do that and do an amazing job. I know my strengths and my weaknesses, and I wouldn't. I think I would just drag them to church and home again, and that would be about it. Pray before we eat, listen to worship songs, and that would be it, sadly. Mostly because God has refined me more than them in this whole homeschooling journey. So if you're a believer, I hope this encourages you. If you're not, maybe you skipped through all this by now, I'm sorry. I just had to share our story of why we homeschool, and that's it. And so we've just learned so much along the way, even just parenting, that it's changed me as a mom, as a person. There's just so many benefits. But let me jump into how to begin homeschooling. I have received, since the pandemic in 2020 has occurred, I have received 15 to 20 messages from different local moms in just my community saying, hey, I think we're going to homeschool next year. I know you do it. Can you give me some advice? What should we do? Where do I start? What does it look like? Or maybe they're just thinking about it and toying with the idea, and they may not go forward with it, and they may. I wanted to send this video to everyone, and I'm giving the same answers over and over, and I'm happy to do so. And I'm definitely happy, if you're one of those people watching this that have messaged me, I am definitely happy to continue the conversation with you and answer any questions that come up down the road, because they will, and they should. So please don't feel like a nuisance or a pest. I'm happy to help. I don't know it all. I'm not a pro. I've failed a lot, but I have experience, and I'm happy to share that with you. So let me start with why. You're going to need a why. And you're going to need to know why. And I'm looking at my notes, some topics here. So if you see me look down, that's what I'm doing. What brought you to this decision? What made you choose? I know some schools are giving you the option to keep your kids home and do the e-learning, or to send them so many hours a day. Maybe you didn't like the new things that are going to go into effect if they go to the school all day. I don't know. I don't know your why. Maybe your why really doesn't have anything to do with those things, but those things launched you into, hey, now's the time better than ever. Maybe your job situation changed and you're home and you can do it. Maybe it's always been on your heart, but you were a working mama and you worried. And let me just, disclaimer, if you are a working mama, you can still homeschool. So don't let that be a lie that you believe if your heart is in a homeschooling. I know a few, majority of the mamas I know are stay at home, but I know a few that do it, and there are many more out there. And if that is your situation, then research, seek it out, look for bloggers who are talking about how they're doing that. Google how to be a working mom and homeschool. Like, use the internet while you can for your benefit, you know? So find your why, because on the hard days, you're going to go back to the why. Why am I doing this? And why is it worth sticking it out? So find your why is my bit of advice. And then just decide, how dedicated are you to that why? Are you going to give up when the going gets tough? Because it will get tough. And I don't say this over and over to scare you. I say this over and over to be transparent and knowing, like, when you have that hard day, don't think, oh, I'm the only one having this hard day. What am I doing wrong? I just want you to know it's normal. There's going to be many, many good days. So don't let that scare you. That's not what I'm trying to say. I also want to preface with this as well. Given certain circumstances, bringing your kid home to do school is not necessarily homeschooling. Homeschooling is a type of discipleship, whether faith-based or not. It is you pouring into your child, teaching them, yes, academics, but teaching them life skills, teaching them, bonding with them, so many other things. And for those who have been homeschooling, we had time and a window to prepare, to plan, to research, to decide what works for us, what didn't work for us, so switch it up, things like that. you got thrown into it this past school year and you had e-learning at home or whatever that looked like for you. That's not necessarily homeschooling. So let me just say, you don't have to use, if you decide to do the homeschooling route, you don't have to use what they give you. If it's not working for your kid, don't use it. I had an older mama mentor me, and I've heard it over and over through all our homeschooling journey, is homeschooling is about teaching your child to love learning and teaching your child how to learn. If you can master those two things, then your child will be successful at whatever God's brought them to or takes them to, or their passions are, whatever it is. Think about it. If they know how to learn and they love to learn, then they're probably never going to stop learning, and learning is growth, right? Whatever that looks like. So just keep that kind of nugget of gold back in the back of your mind too, okay? So where do you start? Well, the number one place I'm going to send you is HSLDA.org. And I forget what that stands for. I should have wrote that down. Homeschool Legal Defense Association, I think. I could be wrong on that VA part. Anyway, write this down. Go to their website. Start there. They are a legal defense organization that requires a membership. I think it's like it went up a little bit, $107 for the year. So say you're just going to do 1 year and you don't know how long you're going to do this, but you're going to start out for the year. Go there, sign up. That protects you from any truancy laws. It also is just a plethora of information on resources, from curriculums to sports activities to clubs and co-ops, like all kinds of stuff. That is for the nation, okay, or at least America. So go there first. Do the membership. These are real attorneys working and advocating on behalf of homeschool families and our freedoms and protecting and defending our rights. And they also give you the information of what your state requires from you, what you would have to turn in, what you need to keep record of, those kind of things. So start there. Secondly, and I'm from Indiana, so our local organization that's a nonprofit that helps to, again, advocate for homeschooling families is, it's a homeschool, Indiana Homeschool, and it's IAHE.net. IAHE.net. So if you're in Indiana, write that one down and go there. But if you are from another state, you can just Google state homeschool organization advocacy or something like that. And I'm sure if you talk to any other local homeschoolers that have been doing it a while, they will know. They'll direct you there. And so this is another great resource that, again, keeps us in the know of our homeschool freedoms, and they defend those for nonprofit. So I encourage you to go there. You can read more information about what's required of you. As of now, in July 2020, the only thing Indiana has ever requested is a record, or whatever it looks like. A basic calendar with 180-day check marks stating you did school. There are no required standardized testings whatsoever, or proof, or grades, or anything that's required to be sent in. And I know that sounds like, ew, how is that legit? Let me just say, before I jump on, ACT and the SAT are the only tests required in due time from the state of Indiana. But let me also just say, you will, by the high school years, need to keep a transcript if your child plans to go to college, or even if they don't. I highly recommend it, because if things change and then they want to, you have record of things like that. But the primary years, there's no grades, there's no tests required. That's a topic in the homeschool community, tests or no test, and that becomes down to your preference. How does your child do? Do tests stress them out? Then don't do the test. If your child's good at testing and they want it, or you want it, and you want to gauge where they're at and how well they're doing, then by all means, do a test. That is That is your family. Do what works for your family and for you. You're the mom or the dad that's doing this. If your mental sanity needs to know where they're at, then okay, do it. But also give yourself some grace and know your child is learning at their level and their pace. Don't rush it and crush it, because we want to go back to love learning, right? And if they're not loving it, then change it. And that doesn't mean they're going to wake up and ready to do school every day. No. My boys still, I'm like, are you ready for school? And they're like, no. And that is very common, right? But when you get going and you're in that groove, you're going to see that certain books excite them and a certain lesson was great and fun and things like that. So love learning. Keep it at that, okay? So let's talk curriculum. This can overwhelm you. There are so many out there, and there are so many really good ones out there. So don't feel like you have to do it all and you have to have the best of the best. Start by figuring out how does mom or dad learn best? How does mom or dad teach best? How does your child learn best? Maybe your child is in public school, but you were very engaged, and so you know they're a very visual learner, or maybe they're auditorial. You know, they do best by hearing. They don't have to see. They can multitask and do things. Like, how does your child learn best, right? And then kind of research curriculums that will gear better towards that. For example, there's a couple math curriculums. There's Math UC. That is very, so there's a DVD, and, his name just slipped me. Steve Demme is the teacher on there. You can read more about his credentials and stuff if you go to their website. Anyway, it's very visual. He teaches it at the beginning of the week, and then they do that lesson and the concept that they learned over and over throughout the week or a few days, depending on how quickly your child grasps the concept. But anyway, it's very visual, comes with manipulatives, little things they can touch and organize and just see how the math problem is working. And then there's like Saxon, that is very much a textbook, black and white, open it up, read the lesson concept, teach yourself, or you can teach your child. Careful, you're moving the table. Sorry, I had a buddy come out here. What was I saying? Oh, and so it's very black and white. You go on to the problems, you do them, bada bang, bada boom, you move on. So which would attract your child? So kind of gauge that. If you aren't sure, start finding out. You have time. I mean, it's just, well, it's the middle of July. You have time. With the time concept, you can also choose your schedule. You can go with your local school system. You can do year-round. You can do the September to into May. Just 180 days is all you need, so fit them in how you can. Again, HSLDA and IAHE both will tell you the laws about that and how that works. Okay, so curriculum, just there's several out there. There's Kathy Duffy Reviews. Google that, because I don't know the exact website. If I were more professional, I would have written all these down. But I'm just a mom like you, okay? And that's okay. But Google that. She gives kind of a rating on all curriculums, her preference, but she gives really good, valid information about why she rated it this, and so maybe that will be a good starting point and help you. If you know somebody that homeschools, and again, if this is someone I've talked to personally, ask me, reach out. I will give you the specifics of what we use, but because this is on YouTube, I'm not going to go that detailed, and I'm trying to kind of keep this short. We're at like 25 minutes already. But yeah, so ask someone locally, get their advice, someone that's used it. Say a certain curriculum's intrigued you, like Sunlight. If you know someone that's used it, ask them, you know, what do you like, what do you don't like, how does it work? And again, it's just subjective. So what they might do, you might not. What they don't like, you may love. What you love, they may not. You know what I mean? So don't play the comparison game. That's really hard as humans to do. I still do it. But you get stronger. You build a callus for it, and it's okay. It's all right. So that would lead me on into a support group. So you need to find, this would be your third thing after your HSLDA and your state organization advocacy. Find a support group. whatever state you're in. We have so many in our little Clark County area here, but go on Facebook and search homeschool support groups near me or something like that. I think that will search for you on Facebook, and you're gonna see a bunch pull up. Go visit them, visit each of them, get a feel for how that support group runs their meetings, how they run their information logs, how they run field trips. You know, get a vibe for the group, the people in that group, because even in the homeschool world, it's much less, but even in the homeschool world, there's going to be people rub you wrong, and not that we should avoid or stay away from that, but just know what is going to build you up and encourage you no matter what you choose, and what's going to discourage you and pull you away from what you're choosing because it wasn't their preference. That, to me, is bad leadership. So as long as they're encouraging you towards truth and being true to yourself and your family and just motivating you on this race, that's what you need to shoot for. That's what you need to find. So yeah. Oh, quick tip back on the homeschool thing. So maybe you don't have a time to sit down and do a lot of book work with your child. Maybe you're busy. Maybe you're going to be a working mama or daddy. There are online things. So your child just does it on the computer, they're teacher-led, maybe they're self-led, just whatever. There's options for that. You can just go to like My Father's World or Rebecca or Sunlight, something like that, Heart of Dakota. Those are all companies. They'll sell you a whole book set by grade, and you just follow their instructions, very open, tells you what to do, read kind of thing. Those are great, and those are just fine. And then if you are worried about, or maybe like say I'm going into high school and so math is not my thing. I have a husband who's an engineer, so I'm not worried because I can throw that back on him, and he's happy to help in that, and he's very involved. And I do recommend, if you're a mom watching this, get your husbands involved, and vice versa. If you're a father watching, have your wife involved. You're a team in this, you know. I always state we homeschool, not just me, because he's very much a part of it and supports it. And again, homeschooling is not just doing school at home. So kind of goes back to the parenting thing. But anyway, there are co-ops, you know, that you can sub out. Maybe you want to do a foreign language, but that's not something you're good at, or you just don't want to take that on. That tends to be our thing, is I want to so bad, and every year we've tried, and we have great curriculums that have been amazing. I just find that goes to the back of the burner because life happens and you have to get the basics done first, right? So maybe you do that at a co-op, or maybe theater or drama, you know, something like that you may not do at home, or you need more of a group. You can do those at co-ops, so find those in your area too, and that's information you will find from your local support group. So another reason to plug in there. Field trips, co-ops, things like that. Advice, opinion, encouragement, because you're going to want that mama to be like, I don't know what to do. He just keeps saying this over and over, and it's wrong, and I've told him how to do it. And it's okay. She's going to talk you back off that ledge, because it happens. But then there's going to be days where you're like, they're tears of joy because your child just read and he's been struggling for a very long time, or it's a math concept, or just whatever. Or he invented something amazing and you're like, what? I didn't even teach you that yet. It's just amazing. Trust me. All right. So yeah, any other resources you can just Google and find some ideas. So what if you have the question, my child has special gifts and I don't know if I'm equipped to do it. Can I still homeschool? And the answer is yes. Yes, you can. There, again, are so many resources out there for you. There's Time for Learning, I think, is just one that's big that comes to mind, and a bunch of other, and I haven't used them, so I can't give you an opinion one way or another, but I've read a little bit, and they're very, like, all around solid and effective. And then think of it as like this. You're the parent, and nobody wants for your child better than you, and so you're gonna fight and whatever to get to the end result better for your child than some stranger who just has a love for children and is ready. And I'm not saying that teachers are like that. I'm just saying another person, a parent's gonna just do a little more. They're gonna give a little more. Does that make sense? So you actually can accommodate your child and maybe even more effectively than you think. Because they're going to be more one-on-one. You might be able to find a private tutor and do other stuff at home, which is going to keep their self-esteem up. There's just a lot of resources out there, and you don't have to have an advanced degree to keep your child home. So don't let that be, again, another lie. Lastly, I'm going to touch on this really quick because it might be a question for some. I don't feel like many people have worried about this, but socialization. It's such a myth, okay? Now, maybe back when homeschooling started, it could have been, but we're in 2020, folks. We don't need a classroom to be social, okay? My kids are very capable of ordering food at a restaurant or talking to someone at the farmer's market, or and the best part about this is, in the world of homeschool, you're not stuck with your own peer group. All 6th graders stay here all day and you can only talk to a 6th grader. No, they're talking to all ages from 0 to 100. Okay, and it's so rewarding to see so many of our teens engage with a 5 and 6 year old and just entertain them, because they just have, that's the norm, you know what I mean? And I don't mean just our only socialization is with each other or family dynamics, but excuse me, but there are sports teams out there, both homeschool sports and just leagues aside. Sorry, I got a phone call. But like clubs aside from the public school that offer all kinds of sports. So there's a lot out there. And aside from sports, say your kid's not really into those, there are music programs, there's art programs, there's art classes, there's retired art teachers that love to take a small group once a week if you bring them, or twice a month, something like that, and just kind of do a lesson. There's a lot out there. So yeah, so socialization, it was never something we feared. I guess it was like the last thing I thought about. Hang on, I feel crooked. But, I don't know. Some people really do. I mean, I know there's people that choose to homeschool and they have family members that are afraid of like socialization and sports because, you know, I guess to them that's a priority. It's definitely not. In fact, we have to say no to a lot of good things because we are just too busy. You know, there's speech clubs. Those are amazing. That's the newest club we've joined. And so, again, just like anything in life, when something else becomes a higher priority, something at the bottom of the list has to go. So, you know, you pray about it. You say, Lord, is this in your will? Is this what we should do this year? And every school year we pray about what books we're going to use, what clubs we join, what co-ops we're involved in. We have a son in archery. Like, there is just so much. Not to mention, you're going to build a huge community of friendships, and there's going to be like constant play dates and field trips, and like, again, it's sad, but you have to say no to some stuff. And some days you have to say no because you're not quite done with school, and some days you're like, we're going, we need it, we need to get out. That's the freedom in homeschooling. So I hope you stuck with me through this whole video. I was hoping it would be 15 minutes, but we're like at 30. That's okay, because I kind of had a rant in the front. I don't know. I just felt it was necessary to share my heart with you and where we come from before I just kind of spew some information at you. So again, you can email me. I'll leave my email in the description box. If you are not local and don't know how else to reach me, if you have questions or concerns, leave a comment in the comments below. Again, liking this video helps us tremendously. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and go check out some of our other videos. We'd love to have you stick around. Thank you. Thank you for asking my opinion, and I hope that I tried to be pretty unbiased. It's hard to do. But just know that you're the parent, and you do what works for your family. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day. God bless.